over and over again. I repeat same 3 sentences. We are not left, we are not right, we are Jews. And I've pointed out that I understand the urge to leap at someone who finally seems to be saying the right thing when most of the world has been starting, you get your information from these 3 feeds that are international. Those 3 feeds are getting their information from terrorists, and thus terrorist information is spread around the world. And yet, so many people who thought that the bloated felon would be good for Jews have failed to grasp something very fundamental. The felon doesn't like Jews. The felon doesn't like Muslims. Actually, he likes Muslims even less, which is why the felon is using Jews as a cudgel against Muslims. That way, the left gets all up in arms with their, free Palestine, even though Palestine doesn't exist, and even though the people who are living in Gaza don't actually want a Palestine, they just want Israel gone. And that is something very fundamental that the rest of the world chooses to not understand. However, we have the United States, who has agreed to sell $2 billion worth of weapons to Qatar. Why should I care if Qatar gets a shit ton of weapons? Well, because Qatar has been, for some reason, included in negotiations between Hamas and Israel, even though they have nothing to do with it, theoretically. But they have been telling the Hamas to not take deals, because if they keep denying and keeping the hostages, then eventually they can force Israel to pay for everything to rebuild Gaza. Much like in the fact that the world is expecting Israel to give supplies or allow supplies to get to the country that attacked them, even though it's not really a country yet. It could be a country, it could have been a country 70 years ago, but they didn't want it to be a country. Either way, when some country attacks your country, usually what you do is cut off the supplies to your enemy during war. And yet the world expects Israel to supply the Hamas, which has been established as taking all of the aid. In fact, there was a whole bunch of what was supposed to be flour bags found in Gaza, and they had weapons for Hamas in them. I don't have a lot to say to this, but I do want you to read this headline. Instead of rewarding Qatar with weapons when they've been obstructing peace in that area, use the weapons as leverage. I mean, over in Saudi Arabia, they've actually removed Palestine from their educational books. They are removing almost all of their anti-Semitism from their books. Arabia, I'm more inclined to believe, actually may want peaceable relationships. Qatar doesn't. And sort of like how the United States told Israel to leave Iran's nuclear facilities alone because they wanted to negotiate. Because, yeah, that worked out so well during the Blooded Felon's first term.